throughout the counties, across the state, here live from Tacoma, from Church for All Nations. Ayan po, Kuya.
And yes, having a good weather, sunny weather, and we have a very good guest, my good friend, Paul Philip Glumas. Good afternoon, Phil. Paul.
Hello. It's great to be here with you. And I'm a candidate that is running for Seattle City Council, position 8. I am hoping to become a candidate past the primaries into the general election. And I have a unique message.
Okay. Let's play your video so people can have your introduction. Then we'll go on to your. If you don't mind, Paul, some listeners will be throwing in questions. I hope.
Okay. All right.
Biggie, let's go with the video, Paul.
Oh. My name is Paul Felipe Glumas. I was born in Mexico and have lived in Seattle for 41 years. I am running for Seattle City Council, position 8, in order to stop the transformation of the city that I love into an impoverished, crime-ridden, and drug-infested slum. I'm doing this because no other candidate has come forward to say what must be said, or to exhibit the personal courage and commitment to do what is needed to be done. The primary cause of this transformation of Seattle is a combination of wrong policies and gross mismanagement by the current city council. This includes the defunding of law enforcement and enabling nonprofits to promote a growing billion-dollar-a-year homeless industrial complex, replete with safe injection sites and free drugs. My first priority is to restore to Seattle a fully funded public safety system. This includes creating the conditions where the homeless are forced off the streets into emergency transitional shelters. From there, the individual problems of the homeless person can be defined, and that person can be forwarded to substance abuse treatment, psychological care, or work counseling. The future of the Seattle area rests on building an advanced 21st century science and technology manufacturing hub for the world. Unfortunately, Seattle's future has been severely jeopardized by the current city council. If you want a future for Seattle, vote Paul Felipe Glumas, position 8.
Yes, Paul, before we go on with the interview, yes, hope everybody catch your speech, a short speech, who you are and what you are fighting for. Okay, let's go for the first OPM music, Sabi Mo by Chaya, the favorite of my co-host, Vicky.
Sabi mo sa'kin na hindi mo ko iiwan, maging hanggang sa magpakailanman. Noong una tayong dalawa ay nagsumpaan, yun pala'y bukang bibig mo lang. Mabuti pa ay di na tayo nagmahalan, nang sa ganon ay di na tayo nasaktan. Luha pa lang siyang ating patutunguhan, paglisan mo ang ating kahantungan. Sabi mo, ako yung ibigin. Sabi mo, ako'y sasambahin. Ngunit lahat ng iyong mga pangako walang nangyari, lahat ay naglaho. Sabi mo, ako yung iibigin. Sabi mo, ako sasambahin. Ngunit lahat ng aking mga hangarin nabawi ng sinungaling mong damdamin. Ngayon tayong dalawa'y di na magkasama, at ikaw ay nasa piling na ng iba. Totoo bang pagtingin mo'y di magbabago? Naaalala mo pa ba ang sabi mo? Sabi mo, ako'y iyong iibigin. Sabi mo, ako'y sasambahin. Ngunit lahat ng iyong mga pangako walang nangyari, lahat ay naglaho. Sabi mo, ako iyong iibigin. Sabi mo, ako'y sasambahin. Ngunit lahat ng aking mga hangarin nabawi na sinungaling mong damdamin. Sabi mo, ako iyong iibigin. Sabi mo, ako'y sasambahin. Ngunit lahat ng iyong mga pangako walang nangyari, lahat ay naglaho. Sabi mo, ako iyong iibigin. Sabi mo, ako'y sasambahin. Ngunit lahat ng aking mga hangarin nabawi na sinungaling damdamin. Naalala mo pa ba ang sabi mo? Mahal ko, alam kong iyon ang sabi mo.
Sabi mo by Jaya. Nice original music. Anyway, here we go. Paul Felipe Glumas. I think there are so many listeners right now. Efren Pascua from Seattle, Vilma Fernandez from Seattle,
Hello po, Auntie.
Lilia Rooney from Seattle. You know, there are so many people. There you go, Vicky. Shoot the first question.
Okay. How do you plan to involve the community to be part of the decision-making process? Yan po.
That's a very good question, okay, because the echo chamber of political correctness, which governs the Seattle City Council, the city attorney, the King County prosecutor, is very much at odds with what the community is experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
But what the community needs is someone visible to rally them to action. Unless you have somebody visible who is a political figure who can represent them, it doesn't necessarily mean they have to be elected immediately, but in the campaign to become elected, they have to rally the people, get them active, get them off their passivity, because they don't see any pushback. They don't see any fight. And that's why I'm running. I want to be able to do that. It's a question of being able to activate and address the fact that you cannot have drug trafficking take over the city. You cannot have drug addicts running free everywhere. You can't have things like that. But who's going to say it? Who's going to come out and organize the population to create the pressure?
Mm-hmm.
we're in that kind of situation where the people have to be represented in an active and dynamic way, not just being an elected official.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's a very good answer.
Yes.
Actually, one of our listeners greeted you, Efren Pasqua. He's one of your voter, I know. He lives in Seattle. Since you are what do you call that? Position 8 doesn't have any responsibility area, right? Yeah, you are.
It's a citywide. It's a citywide district. There are two
Okay.
citywide districts, and there are 7 neighborhood districts.
Yes.
And so we're in the election for the citywide. So everyone in Seattle votes for citywide. Yeah,
that's
okay.
Even the one from West Seattle, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Good. Please, we know that, and we have lots of friends, so we can campaign for you. But first, we have to reach your primary. That's the first and foremost by Tuesday. So we have to really give out our best to vote for Paul Felipe Plumas, isn't it? Anyway, my next question is, what really is your platform aside from, homelessness and the trouble that we are having around the city of Seattle?
Seattle has something very unique that other major cities do not have. We have an industrial base. We have a vast machine tool capability centered in aerospace, but it doesn't have to be aerospace. Mm-hmm. And we have a tremendous amount of research going on in many different areas. But what generally happens is the breakthroughs in science that occur in Seattle do not get turned into factories or manufacturing in Seattle. They go somewhere else. So I want to take advantage of this manufacturing base to build a strong, not just IT sector, but a strong manufacturing base where we have manufacturing jobs, where many parts of the United States have lost that. We need to revive that. And you need to have a city that is oriented also to family formation. Well, right now, Seattle is losing an orientation towards family formation for many reasons. So this is the longer term view, but you cannot have that if the city is turned into like the worst places that you know in the States, like certain areas of Chicago and New York City, and where things are just neighborhoods or just slums. You can't do it that way. That's my long term. That's my big vision. Beyond homelessness.
Good. Vicky, I think one of our listeners has a good question coming from here. You can answer that, Paul.
Okay, I can. Clea Efron says, "I appreciate your answer. I am a community liaison, and I sometimes wonder where our elected officials are. They are invisible." His question is will you help out in funding back and bringing back a strong police in Seattle? Ayan po.
Yes, I will do everything in my power to organize and promote bringing back a strong police. But we are up against a national movement that is called reimagining law enforcement. And that what that means is you essentially get rid of law enforcement and you replace it with psychologists, social workers, and criminal entities. And the reason is this: law enforcement is there to protect the people, and
Sorry about that.
So okay, and the idea is if you have a population that basically what it is the following. It's a population that is not protected is a population that lives in fear. And it's a population that has no voice. You have no voice. If you're not being protected by the police, you have no voice in the society. You have no power. And that's essentially what it is. It's the disempowering of the police is the disempowerment of the people, basically. That's what it is. And you have this problem in the Philippines, with the drug situation. Duterte has made a great effort to deal with that. President Duterte of the Philippines, but that's the kind of situation we're headed towards, where you don't have an avenue for representation because there is no representation. It's control. It's controlled. You have no. It's a pacification of the population, basically. That's the way I see it. And the first step is to destroy the law enforcement capability. I want to bring it back. I'm serious about that.
Thank you. That's a very good answer, to bring back really the enforcement of the police power. Everybody should be protected in the community. And I would say that being a Latino yourself, just like Filipinos, we have the Spanish blood since we have been colonized for more than 380 years. So I think we have the same thinking when it comes to police powers, isn't it?
Yes, of course. Yeah, I'll put it to you this way. These people in the city council have to know that if you're a drug addict, you have to get the funds to get your drugs. You'll do anything. You have to know that. So you have essentially the city attorney and saying that they've lost the war on drugs. They're not even going to try to enforce the drug law. If you're not going to try to enforce the drug laws, then everyone who's a drug addict has to go out and criminalize the population unless they can find the money from somewhere else. And it's not going to ever end. So they're already saying they're not going to fight the drug question. If you don't fight the drug question, then the people are at the mercy. And what I'm discovering in my going into the neighborhoods and talking to everybody is that a lot of people are no longer calling the police. They're just, I got robbed, they broke into my house, they stole my car, things like that. And a lot of times they're especially store owners, they're not calling the police anymore when the windows get smashed. So this is where Seattle is. And the Seattle Times said that I was exaggerating. No, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating about this. It's really getting worse.
True. Actually, we have seen it. Pick and I, they always roam around the city proper, the downtown area. It's really happening. You can see at the alley, when I pass by going to my place in 3rd Avenue, when I take a short look through the alleys, you can see people injecting by themselves. I hate to see the sign of this. I hate to see, when I was in the Philippines and part of the government, we always adhere to no drugs at all. And money is not always the means to get something, isn't it? Because of money, you just let people be drowned with all the drugs, heroin, marijuana, and all these things. Come on, Paul, we like your platform. Drugs is really not good for people. It is a medicinal, yes. But do you control the people who buys marijuana in all these places? You can't. Tell me if you can control them, unless we have to adhere to a certain law that we can stop this. Yes, I adhere to people who use this as medication, but not for recreational, I would say. Do you agree?
Other cities have much stronger enforcement, and they have been doing much better. And because of that stronger enforcement, many people who want to live that lifestyle are coming to Seattle. And this is another aspect of the problem because of Seattle's very permissive attitude towards this. So we're getting an influx of people from all over the country who wanna just live that kind of lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. 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 Good. Yeah. I hope you can maintain your position and
I
be a
intend.
winner. Yeah.
I intend to make a
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
big.
Any more questions?
Okay.
Okay. I have a question regarding what you just said. I was born and raised here in Seattle, Washington, and I haven't in Seattle where I was born, Beacon Hill area. And then I go through the International District, and then you go to the Capitol Hill area, downtown Seattle. I don't feel the safety anymore, right? How do we as community build back our home and feel safe? We need to work together and work as one. We should have the same focus, but not everyone, but I'm just saying, like, how do we make sure that we can see this happen? Your highest priority, like, how do you build that strong police force? What is it going to take to build this back, to build Seattle back, to build Washington back? How are you going to do that for us?
What I can do is be the spearhead for a movement. I talked to an officer who initially didn't want to talk to me because he was hearing from on a homicide 2 days ago, and I said, "Look, this is what I'm doing." He says, "Too late." So he was very demoralized, and I have that from many different people, but that's because they don't see any motion, they don't see any action. So my job is to instigate through the electoral process the spearhead of a movement in this direction. That's why I'm doing this.
Okay. And then my other question is, we have the problem of housing, right? The cost of inflation of just buying a house for our families here. How do you make it affordable? How do you make it equitable? How do you cut costs of rising apartments or just the housing itself? The rents, there's no gap. I mean, landlords can just say, hey, your contract is up. I'm going to boot that up another $500 if you want to stay. And how does the American people here in Washington State can afford something like that? Thank you, sir.
I don't really have a solution to this. I have ideas. Okay. I'm still working on it. The problem is real estate speculation it's been the driving force in making profit, not production, not a real productive economy. So you have this whole process where neighborhoods are turned into slums, and then people leave, and then it gets bought up cheap, and then they gentrify. This has been an ongoing process, and Seattle is now one of those places that appears to be going through that process, and it's not good. And the problem is the kind of people they want to have move into Seattle to replace the current people who live in Seattle are not people who are oriented towards families, but they're people that can. You have two people in an apartment that work two full-time jobs and can pay the rent, but they don't have to be concerned about a family. So the people that want a family are moving out of Seattle. So now there's ways you can deal with this. I haven't worked it out, but there's things the city can do in terms of dealing with real estate speculation. There's things the city can do in terms of subsidizing low-income people. There's things the city can do in terms of dealing with this, but I haven't really worked it all out. And unfortunately, it's not an easy thing because
I know
because you're getting into the whole land use question, but the driving problem is the speculation and like flipping the homes and then moving people out and then building the condos. But those condos are not for people like you and me. They're for people coming in to work for maybe 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 years in the IT sector and then move on. It's not like, it's not like a stable neighborhood where you have families, people grow up, and all of that. And you need to have that, because that's an important part of developing a sense of community. So you're going to lose a sense of community in that kind of situation. So it's a real problem. And I don't have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, but I intend to take it on also.
I just, I feel like, people who do want to have, their apartment, but can't afford the next step because of landlords doing the increase of their next contract. Is there a way that you can also support, a cut, like saying your first year, if you're going to stay a little bit longer, that, we'll raise it another instead of, a couple $100, and you already have a family that is working 2 jobs and who wants to raise a family but can't afford it.
Right.
So is there a way that, if we already know that this cycle is on and on and on, is there a way that,
I think there might be a way. I think there might be a way of putting in limitations on that. But in terms of, I've seen rent control in New York. I'm not so sure that works, but there must be a way to deal with this and limiting the ability of speculative increases in the rents and in the price of things, because it is driven by speculation, not by any improvement in the not by any improvement in the property or anything. It's driven by speculation.
Okay,
and you could have a tax on speculation. That's possible. Vancouver looked at it for a while because they were getting all this influx of money from China to buy things, and the property prices were going up dramatically. So they put in a tax on that. I don't know if that would work, but I'm willing to explore all options to deal with that.
I'm sure, Paul, you can sponsor a bill that will really control the rental upheaval. I would say you can. Of course, I don't want to destroy the relationship between the government and the business owners or dwelling owners who use their apartments to be rented out. But definitely there must be some control. Just like my wife, we always see to it that everything must be affordable before you increase something. You have to have some compassion to the family, not only thinking of money always, isn't it?
Right. And it's a system of increasing amount from the population, which then reduces the amount that they have to survive on, which then is also affecting the economy also in that way. So this rent speculation, this housing speculation, is unfortunately been something that should be dealt with, and maybe the city can do it. Maybe the city has the power to do that and save the city from being totally transformed into what we don't want.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, we'll pause for a while. Let's give a break to Paul because there are more questions coming in, and we'll after this song we'll be back with Paul Felipe Glumas to answer all our questions. Being in a candidacy for position 8, that's a citywide councilor, it means. So let's go and hear Big Soto, May I Have the Dance.
Pagdating sa sayaw, ako'y lagi na lang naglatrabagan. Maraming magaling sa iyo ay nagpupunahan. At lahat ay nakadikit sa sa iyo hanggang sa makumagahan. Di man lang ako magkasingit kahit minsan. Ako'y makinang magdala, kaya't ipagpasensya na. Pagkakataon ay ngayon lang. Sige na, ngayon lang. May I have this dance? Ngayon lang, ngayon lang, ngayon lang. Ang pangako ko, ako'y di na muli sasaya. May I have this dance? Ngayon lang, ngayon lang, ngayon lang. Ang pangako ko, ako'y di na muli sasaya. Kahit kailan. Pagdating sa sayaw, ako'y lagi na lang nilalabanan. Maraming magaling sa inyo ay nagpupunahan. At lahat ay nakaligid sa inyo hanggang sa magkumagahan. Di man lang ako magkasingit kahit minsan. Ako'y mahinang magdala, kaya't ipagpasensya na. Pagkakataon ay ngayon lang. Sige na, ngayon lang. May I have this dance? Ngayon lang, ngayon lang, ngayon lang. Ang pangako ko, ako'y di na muli sasaya. May I have this dance? Ngayon lang, ngayon lang, ngayon lang. Ang pangako ko, ako'y di na muli sasaya. Kahit kailan.
Yes, Big Soto, may I have the dance? Anyway, yeah, we're back, Paul. There are so many comments. Our good friend Michelle Lee is watching too. She said, "You're the man, Paul. Really, you are." And Maria Ort is also watching. He said, "Both Paul, really for the position 8." Yeah. And one comment that I would like to plus is about, I would say, this one. I hope you can read it. Vicky, can you read it for Paul?
Okay, hold on a second. I have it off my thing. Hold on. If you were elected, yes, okay. If you are elected, are you willing to meet community leaders 30 days after so we can work together in bringing back unity and cooperation and bring Seattle back its glory? Ayan po. That's a good question, Kuya. If you are elected, are you willing to meet community leaders 30 days after so we can work together in bringing back unity and cooperation and bring Seattle back its glory? Yeah.
That's exactly the idea. That's exactly what I wanted to get them all on board, and so we can deal with the situation, because it's from the dialogue with them that part of the pressure is going to come to change the policies. Absolutely.
Good.
That's exactly what I'm hoping to be able to do. Exactly.
And I'm sure As soon as I read your invitation, Paul, I'll be there with some of our community leaders. I'll introduce myself. Being the president of the Coalition of Filipino American Organization, which is a 71-year-old organization, I'm sure I can help you with this.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's exactly the idea. You want to reach out and bring everybody to the table, and then work out with them, and through a dialogue, not through the usual games that are played, but through a dialogue.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I would say, without the community, you can build more and do more, right? Do you agree with me?
Exactly. You bring them on board. That's the way you do it.
Right, right.
You reach out and bring them all on board. Okay.
Vicky, next question.
Okay, I have I'm in the health field, so because I work with King County Public Health, and I have a question here. For patients living in rural areas, patients with limited finances, and patients who are lack mobility, these healthcare entitles restrictions that can result of life-threatening barriers. How do you plan to address the issue to ensure patients community are not discriminated against, that patients can access the care that they need? Yeah.
I'm not clear on the question. In
So,
rural communities or
yes, rural communities also. Even though there's people, we have the city, but there's also, is there a way you can support communities in rural areas who have hard access to healthcare?
I'm not sure. From my position as city council member, that I can do that. But Seattle is the predominant power in King County, so yes, if you can, you have to include the rest of in your perspective. You have to include the rest of the areas in your perspective. What tends to happen is that King County and Seattle tend to get the lion's share of everything, and and the rest of the communities are left out. So so that's an issue that has to be looked at. That's an issue that has to be looked at.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. No more questions with the other. I'm waiting for some of our guests to I'm calling all our friends, the Filipino and Asian communities, to join and support Paul Glumas, position 8 for the city council. That's from Maria Ort. Anyway, Paul, being a Latino, I know there are Latinos. I mean, population-wise, Latinos has increased in Seattle. Like the Filipinos, right now we are in total of Washington State, we are 178,000. I'm sure there are more Mexicans than we do here in Washington State. But in the King County, 40%, 40 to be exact, 46% of that 178,000 lives within the King County area, and I would say within the Seattle area, which has a big Filipino community. So Latinos can do also help us, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
And do you know the numbers of population of the Latinos so they can support you?
Yes, and we're running. We have 6 days before the ballots, the mail-in ballots have to be in. So the problem is they have to know that I exist, and they have to know what I represent, and then they can then they'll probably be motivated to vote and send in the ballots. But the problem is if they don't know who the people are, there's less likely a motivation to send in the ballots. That's what I'm concerned about, and so that's part of it right there.
Yes, good. At least we can help you in doing so. And going back to the campaign, I think you have 4 opponents right now. Aside from
10 opponents. 10.
But 4 are being considered your strongest opponent.
Right.
There's a Caucasian, there's a I would say, several ethnicity. But definitely, I hope with the combined effort of Asian and some Latinos, we can always deal with it, and hopefully you can reach. And how do you really do it right now, aside from our help?
It's not clear to me how this is going to work. I structured my campaign I put my campaign forward from the standpoint of being a voice, but whether that voice has reached to the right people is not 100% clear. This is where you come in. This is where you're so important. Where other people, I've reached out to the other ethnic communities as well, the Vietnamese, the Chinese, the Koreans, to some degree, the East African community. You all have something in common. All these communities have something in common. They have an orientation towards families, and they have an orientation towards the future. And that's very important. And they feel that their future is being jeopardized. So it's a question of getting that message out to these communities. My opponents do not seem to be reaching out to these communities for whatever reason. One of my opponents, not the incumbent, who's expected to be who's expected to get past the primary. One of my opponents is being is conservative, but is not reaching out to the communities, and that opponent is the most likely challenger to the second spot that I have. So I'm hoping that the ethnic communities plus the small business people put me over the top. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, hopefully. And we'll keep on pushing, and we'll keep on. You know, Michelle Lee is the president of Washington for Change.
Yes.
We have, you met her, I think.
Yes.
And we founded this, last year of June.
Yes.
I mean, 2019 of June.
Right.
Yeah, and we have been working out and helping people really who has a good platform and a good, just like you, who has have the same, I would say, formation that we have in mind. So we try to be together and really work out something for the betterment of the community and the city itself. And one question that Maria Ort has asking is, on your first day as an elected city council on your quorums, what will be your proposal to present to the council? Go ahead.
Okay.
Did you get the question now, Paul? You can read it. Great.
Sure, I can read it. Sure. Okay. So the first proposal will be on law enforcement. The second proposal will be on establishing emergency transitional shelters, so we can begin clearing the cities, its parks, the schoolyards, and different of homeless encampments. If you cannot for public health and many other reasons, if you cannot have a place to stay, you have to have a place to go, which is not on the city streets. And so that would be the second one. Okay, that's the first one. The third one, I would move to force law enforcement, to get a law enforcement process going to enforce the laws on drugs and on property crimes, which would probably mean a confrontation of the city hall with the city attorney. So that's another measure I would move very rapidly on, is to go after the city attorney and try to use the city council and my position in the city council and my position in the community as an organizer to change the orientation of the city attorney, which also would include the King County attorney, with respect to their allowing their drugs and property crimes, not enforcing the law. So I would go after them. That would be the basically the third thing. The fourth thing I would do is look into this whole question of the real estate speculation and try to. I don't have a specific policy, but I would do a review of the whole situation. Mm-hmm. And the fifth thing I would do is look into the whole question of Seattle economically. The problem of the downtown is very serious. Most of the people that work, the downtown Seattle and its working population is a very key part of the economy. And who knows if they're coming back? And who knows now with all the new COVID measures, whether they're going to come back. If they don't come back to Seattle and work in Seattle, you're going to look at all the construction that's being done. Look at the whole situation with that. So that has to be dealt with. That's a key part of things. So you have to create an environment for people to want to come back and work in these offices, or else what are you going to do with all these buildings? Well, maybe like that where the homeless are going to go. I don't know. It's that kind of situation. It's very frightening. And so those are some of the measures that I would essentially move. Now, there's the other measures. The sixth measure is these bridges. The Magnolia Bridge should have been built. It has a few years left. And they haven't even built. They haven't even got the plans. Somehow somebody just pawns it off on somebody else, and it doesn't get. And they're waiting for federal funds, and they're waiting for state funds, and all of that. And it's not going to work. Then you have the West Seattle Bridge. Why has it been out for that long? Why is it not going to get supposedly not get resolved until the end of 2022? It's not clear. We have to look into that. Why is that? Why is that going on? So those are the kind of things.
You mean infrastructure?
Infrastructure. Yeah, and we have all these programs that take up money, but we have to also, the seventh thing we need to do is look into the homeless industrial complex. Are these people there to serve the homeless? Are they there to change the situation? If they're there to serve the homeless, then the more homeless you are, the more people you're going to hire to serve the homeless. Mm-hmm. You know, and so you have this structure emerging where they're not dealing with the drug question. If they don't deal with the drug question, it's going to be very hard to deal with the homeless question. So now you have this infrastructure of social services, but they're not, it's getting worse. So you have to have more infrastructure, but that's not roads. That's not bridges. That's not any of that. So right. How does that work into it? So all of those things I intend to address, but it's just a matter of being obvious. You know, it's I wouldn't call it common sense, but it's just a matter of an obvious situation. You know, and
I would say it's really common sense. You know, as if you see these things not in a way good, you can always do something about it. I hope you can do all these things in your 4-year term and get elected again to do more. But there is a last question here. Vicky, can you read it?
Okay, this is my last question from Kuya Efren. Typically, politicians tell the people what they want to hear and hear from them, no more when elected. What makes you different from this type of candidates? Again, this is my last question. Typically, politicians tell the people what they want to hear and hear from them, no more when elected. What makes you different from this type of candidates? Thank you, Kuya.
Well, I'm going to say this in response. I am not a politician. I'm an organizer. There's a difference. Politicians run to get elected. I'm not running to get elected. I'm running to reorganize, to get it to organize. You know, that's my purpose. It's not, I am in this not for a career. I have no career. I have no interest in a career. There is no career. It's to get the job done. And that's going to make me a real problem for a lot of people. But that's just the way it is. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. So
Thank
no,
you.
I'm not a politician. I'm an organizer.
That's good. That's good, Paul. Because we can work together as a community leader, make sure that we reach the grassroots level. That's the essence of.
That's the only way.
Yeah.
You
I
have
would
to
say-
get the grassroots involved. That's the only way.
Yeah.
That's my purpose.
That's the only way, right? If ever you connect with the grassroots and the community leader, I think we'll do it all, right?
That's
Correct me.
the whole idea. Yes.
Yes. Anyway, I think we're almost done, and thank you so much to all the listeners. Maria Opelia, who's this? Rumni, Maria Ort, there are so Malu Santos Valdez, but she has so many friends from
Thank you so
here in Seattle. Presi Gallegos Morillo.
Thank you po,
Well,
Auntie.
of course, other people at that time, like Vilma Fernandez is also
Hello,
watching.
Auntie.
Anyway, I would say, can we have your last parting word, Paul?
Okay. Whenever there's a crisis, and we are in a crisis, and it will get worse, people who normally don't get involved decide to get involved. And this has always been a good thing about the United States. And that when you have a crisis like this, people step up. And I am one of those persons that's stepping up. And I hope to encourage others to step up because we're at a profound turning point in whether our nation and our communities are going to survive.
Okay, good. And what one thing we can promise you, Vic and I, we will be supporting you all the way. And whatever, you can just get in touch with me. You know my phone number, so I can help you. Whatever. And I hope we make the primary. Paul,
Yes.
God's willing, I think, with your heart and soul being there to help the needy and the grassroots. Thank you so much. Vicky, anything for Paul?
Thank you, Paul, for coming and spending your time with us. And you answered your questions very well. And we appreciate everything that you have done for our community and looking forward for seeing you again. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Thank you so much and good luck.
Mhm.
Until Tuesday, hopefully, I'll keep my finger crossed for you.
Okay. All right.
Okay. We'll play the next song. For the meantime, Nothing in sa Malayo by Bing Rodrigo before the birthday critics.
Sa malayo kong tinitignan kita, puso ko'y tumitibok, sumasaya, mata mo nangangalina, nakakatuwa talaga. Sana'y meron akong lakas ng loob na lumapit sa'yo't sabihin ikaw ang mahal ko, ngunit puso ko'y duwag. Natakot na baka kapag ako'y magtapat sa'yo, lalo kang lumayo. Kaya't sapat na sa akin, masilayang ka man lang, puso ko rin, kasabay ng tibok ng aking puso. Mga tingin ko sa'yo, kahit malayo. ako, lakas ng loob na lumapit sa'yo't sabihin, ikaw ang mahal ko. Ngunit puso ko'y duwag, natatakot na baka naman kapag ako'y matapat sa'yo, lalo kang lumayo. Kaya't sapat na sa akin, masilayan ka man ang puso ko'y kasabay ng tibok ng aking puso. Mga tingin ko sa'yo kahit malayo, mga tingin ko sa'yo kahit malayo.
Anyway, at this time, we would like to greet. Thank you so much, Paul. I know you're staying. You might not to greet. Part of our program is to greet mostly of our friends and listeners. Do you have some friends to greet? Birthday or anniversary? Yeah, Paul.
No, I don't. No, I don't. Okay.
Anyway, we would like to greet some of our friends. Vicky, here we go. Okay, happy birthday to
Eloisa Cordana, Susana Gogeri, Kelso Lopez, Leah Mitz, and Maria Brusso. Yan po, Kuya Happy. Yan, happy.
You know
happy.
Maria Brusso, right? And Susana Gokari from Vancouver, Washington. Eloisa Cardana is the wife of one of the Rigor brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Yan, happy birthday to our good friends coming from the Filam radio.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's our, we have finished interviewing Paul Dumas, and hopefully I'm keeping my fingers crossed you make it to the primary. Good luck. Begin. Parting words.
All right.
Hi. Okay. Quick one. I wanted to greet my son a happy 17th birthday. And then tomorrow I will be here at CFAN at Church for All Nations with the free food distribution food drive from 10:30 to 1 p.m. So hopefully I will see you tomorrow here in Tacoma. And also just want to let you know that also next week on August 7th, I'll be in Kent for the health fair. So anyways, yes.
Yeah.
Do you want me to? Last parting words is, okay, my name is Vicky Navarro, your community navigator with King County Public Health, giving you information around COVID-19, resources, announcements, and events throughout the counties across the state. We will see you live next week. Take care and have a great weekend. Ayan po.
Yeah, and for me, sana naman all of us will be safe, and without all this pandemic, it should be finished. And hopefully, I would say good luck to Paul Felipe Dumas to make it to the position 8, to the primary, and we will be helping him. So maraming salamat po. Yeah, thank you.
That's when the fun begins, once I get through.
Yeah. Don't forget us. We gotta push more after the primary. But we need to push now, right now. Anyway, magandang hapon po. At sana naman huwag niyong kalimutan, Copaw has a very good project. October 16, we'll have a crab fest. And that will be at Ovard Community Center, an event center. That's a Saturday, October 16 at 5:30 in the afternoon. Magandang hapon po. And thank you so much, Paul.
Thank you.
I hope during your run, we can have you back so we can always announce everything, whatever we want to do in the community. Thank you, and magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat.
Lahat tayo'y mayroong pagkakaiba. Sa iyong mata ay nakikita na iba't ibang kagustuhan sa patutunguhan. Gabay at pagmamahal ang hanap mo, pagbibigay ng halaga sa iyo. Nais mong ipakilala kung sino ka lang talaga. Pinoy, ikaw ay Pinoy. Ipakita sa mundo kung ano ang kaya mo. Ibang-iba Pinoy, huwag kang matatago. Ipamalaki mo, Pinoy ako, Pinoy tayo. Pakita mo ang tunay ko, mayroong mga sama at maganda. Wala namang perfecto, basta't magpakatotoo. Gabay at pagmamahal ang hanap, pagbibigay ng halaga sa iyo. Nais mong ipakilala kung sino ka ang talaga. Pinoy, ikaw ay Pinoy. Ipakita sa mundo kung ano ang kaya mo. Ibang-iba Pinoy, huwag kang matatago. Ipamalaki mo, Pinoy ako, Pinoy tayo. Ganyan ang buhay, dapat ka nang masanay. Wala rin mangyayari kung laging nakikipagay. Ipakilala ang iyong sarili at sa'yo mangyayari. Palagi mo iisipin, kayang-kayang gawin. Pinoy, ikaw ay Pinoy. Ipakita sa mundo kung ano kaya mo. Ibang-iba Pinoy, huwag kang matatago. Iba